Hi Pisces, welcome to your November 2019 General Tarot reading. It's Rena here. I'm shuffling the cards. This is the Wild Unknown Tarot deck. I think I was interrupted or something happened earlier, so I may have even laid out cards, but I just scooped them up. I don't know. I can't remember. Sometimes I do things so automatically that I don't even think about it. So we shall see here. Wow, talk about a mixed bag. But I think, it's very interesting because you've had Neptune retrograding in your sign, and Neptune rules your sign, as I'm sure a lot of you know. And in November, Neptune goes direct. I believe it's November 27th or something like that. So with Pisces individuals, having Neptune retrograding in your first house, or for some of you the 12th house, both of these places, whether it's how you view yourself, or if it's a 12th house, it can be a lot of things that have to do with behind the scenes stuff, or kind of subconscious, unconscious memories and things like that create a lot of confusion and make it difficult to know what are your true feelings or whether you're picking up on something else. You're so intuitive anyway. We have here, I think at the end of November, that's what I was trying to get at, when Neptune goes direct, I think it will be better because when Neptune is retrograde, it can lead to disillusionment, and you can question a lot of your choices, I think, in the past, and am I where I want to be, with Jupiter in the 10th house, and I believe Venus, I just did your forecast, your astro forecast. I think I posted that today, or yesterday. Oh boy. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. But you have a lot of good stuff in your career sector. But it doesn't matter, no matter how much success somebody has, they still can second guess themselves, especially if they have a habit of doing it and they don't embrace their success enough. The heart of the matter is the Two of Swords. So you may be feeling like there is some sort of crossroads that you have come upon, and in any area of your life, really. And I would say it's potentially more related to career matters because the Magician card is there. I'll get to that in a minute. But that sense of if you want to go on your own and do something and you're afraid that you won't be supported in that, or if this has to do with accepting a new job position or something like that, if you feel like you're not sure if it's going to pan out, because if you take a job, or you get another job offer and you leave where you are, you have no guarantee that it's going to work out. You have to just trust that it will, and you might be doing a lot of what if. As a matter of fact, when I look here at the past position, this is the Ten of the Ten of Swords. I love that. Right through the eyes. Right through the sockets of the eyes. And this is like somebody who is experiencing some sort of betrayal, and that can lead to bitterness and also distrust in the future, And I just noticed something. All three of those cards on the top row have swords attached to them. Two of them are actually in that suit, which connects to air signs, by the way. So we're talking about Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. And that could be somebody in your life as well. But the sword, the sword, the magician, it's kind of funny that it's there as well. And then I have the Five of Swords down here too. So the swords connect with conflict, but sometimes that conflict is an inner type of conflict. And with the Two of Swords, it's like that feeling of being at a crossroads or being at some kind of loggerheads. So an example would be if you are, this has been a theme this month, it seems like, for November, of people coming back into your life. And there is a Mercury retrograde from October 31st until November 20th. And this is a time when I even had somebody write me today and say that somebody just came back into their life. They were watching one of my other videos. And yeah, I mean, as I record this, I'm sure Mercury is in its shadow, and that can also create a lot of things. I've had tech issues, and it's not officially here, but it still could be some problematic for certain people. So it is possible in some cases that with the Two of Swords, you're debating whether or not to get back with somebody, and this would be somebody who betrayed you. And it is something to sit with and question, because you have to ask yourself, why did this happen in the first place? Why did this person do this? And what's changed? Just because somebody wants to come back doesn't mean that they have fundamentally changed. And it may feel good, it may feel like a relief. Oh, good. I'm still desirable. I thought I wasn't, or some kind of crazy thing like that, where you actually took somebody else's bad behavior as being a sign of anything being wrong with you, and that's always a mistake. But of course, like I said, this could apply to the work environment too. Of wanting maybe to move on, or having a job offer or something like that, but that Ten of Swords, a bad memory of maybe a time when you thought that something was going to be in your favor and it turned out to be against you, and that being problematic, being afraid of that. That's why I said, when I said the higher message is the Magician, you see how they have that sword too. And see that they got the pentacles, the sword, the cup, they have all the elements. And this is the first time I noticed that. Boy, it took me long enough. I'll have to see the Rider-Waite deck to see if it has similar illustration like that. But the Magician is a card of self-empowerment and stepping into your own power. I find that when you're very indecisive, what is happening is that you are second-guessing yourself. And I actually read this somewhere, and it really resonated with me, because I used to think of people that were indecisive as just kind of flaky, that they just didn't know what they wanted. But really, I think people do know what they want, but they question whether or not they deserve it, or whether or not they will be supported in getting it. So the reason that I think you have to change that idea, if you have that, is because when something good comes, like another job offer that seems like a really good thing comes along, instead of you know, fearing the unknown, saying, wow, this sounds like proof that my life does have a certain flow to it, and it's, even if it's in the 11th hour, that things always seem to go my way. You know, you can frame it any way you want. You can think of it in negative terms, but you can also think of it in very positive terms. And the magician is very resourceful, and that's why they have all of those different, I guess you'd call them elements, because they're the earth and the water, etc. Because a lot of times people make excuses that they don't have the education, they don't have the this or that, the money to launch a business or whatever it is that they're trying to do. And a lot of times they have more than they think they do. They have more than they have what they need to do what they need to do. And I think nowadays that's more true than it ever was, because now we have the internet and we can, you know, YouTube channels are free to start. I know that now it's harder to do things, but you know, to get that, you know, to get monetized and things like that, they have changed. They've moved the goalposts, that's for sure. But it's still free. You know, that's the important thing. There's potential for you to do something. Same thing with any other type, like even starting a website that you want to sell things. I mean, there are ways to do that where you don't have to pay a lot of money, if anything at all. And the point being that even if you're doing something on a small scale and it's kind of humble, it still can be done, and you still will feel very good about yourself, because you will feel like you are expressing yourself, which is what we came here to do. At least I think so. That unique way that we show up in the world and how we communicate our truths to others, even if it's on the same subject matter. We all have our own perspective that nobody else has, not even somebody in our same family. We're all different, and we're needed. Everybody is needed. So Pisces, I think some of you get fearful about the unknown, and I would invite you to, if you have a decision to make, to ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen if I choose something and it doesn't work out? And see what thoughts kind of like haunt you, because you may have some very legitimate apprehension. You may have a legitimate apprehension, but on the other hand, you might be perhaps overplaying this. Maybe you're exaggerating the risk, and that you need to be much more willing to embrace the unknown. What crosses you is the Mother of Pentacles. This is the Queen of Pentacles. This could be a materialistic nature, a nature that is too materialistic, that doesn't respect money, is maybe a shopaholic or something like that, and that may also figure into things, because yes, a lot of times you will hear people say that if you're trying to do certain things, you're trying to get free, like if you want to work for yourself, you might have to kind of downsize so that you don't have as many expenses, so that you're able to support yourself on less money. I mean, that's not the only way you can go about things, but I'm saying that some people approach it like that. But when you're spending money on things that you probably lose interest in right away, you're wasting it. And you're wasting your opportunity for freedom. And it's also, you know, the Queen of Pentacles in the upright position wants that kind of home. And when I say home, it could be, I suppose it could be an apartment too, but one that is in touch with nature, where maybe there's a backyard and maybe you can create a garden. Something that feels very nurturing in your home space. And because of other choices that you've made, you might not have this option. Also, I think that if this is a romantic situation or a dilemma, and you are thinking about taking back somebody that's cheated, the Magician card is letting you know that you are able to be self-empowered if you believe that you are. You have to let go of any kind of dependency that may have kind of taken over your mindset. And the Mother of Pentacles in the challenge position can be even your finances are not on point enough to be able to, you know, for whoever this resonates, that, you know, you feel dependent because you don't have that sense of financial stability, but I think it's created. So that's the point of the Magician, is that you can create a different story for yourself. You don't have to, you know, just act like that's how it has to be. What's coming in are the advice is the Five of Swords. So this can be that anxiety, or, you know, well, actually, you know, this card is, I was thinking of the Nine of Swords. This is more like the deceptive behavior of others. You know, I would even think, if you are involved with somebody who may not have told you that they were married, and then you kind of, you know, the Ten of Swords could be that sense of betrayal, that you thought you had gotten involved with somebody who was actually single, and maybe they even lied, and you've kind of forced their hand. The Five of Swords could be that they're still not being truthful with you. And even if they decide to choose you, so that when I said that Two of Swords, maybe that's partially their dilemma. They're deciding whether or not to stay with their partner, and you're just kind of waiting for their decision. But, you know, I often wonder about these scenarios where the person does get that person to choose, and the person chooses them. Then what happens? Because you may win the battle and lose the war. You know, the Five of Swords can be an empty victory, because perhaps for some Pisces, if you've been involved in this type of extramarital situation, there may have been a payoff for you. You may have felt like you didn't have to have somebody with you all the time. You had your own space. And also, you may, in the back of your mind, not respected this person because you knew they were cheating on their partner. And so, I'm not saying that you had those feelings at the beginning, but maybe that person was not straight with you, and then you fell in love with them, and you're just kind of like hooked into it. And even if you force their hand and they leave their marriage, you may feel very guilty. You may feel like it's the wrong thing, that it shouldn't have been that way. Or this could be just more evidence that the person has been cheating on you and lying. Actually, this is really too about lying. And it could even be that they're lying to other people, like they're smearing your name behind your back. By the way, if this is something of a work nature and you're debating whether or not to leave a situation, maybe you got betrayed by a coworker, and so that has made you think about whether or not to stick around in that line of work, or in that particular workplace, not the line of work, but the workplace. You may get further evidence of what is actually going on, and interestingly enough, it can be quite easy to make the decision to leave because now you know the truth. And so the truth is setting you free, and you're able to leave with a sense, with a good conscience, knowing that you didn't do anything wrong to get there, that you tried to do everything right. The outcome is the Sun card, and this is such a positive card that it makes me think that, you're being tested, maybe, that you have success waiting for you, but it feels a little bit like, you have to go through, I was going to say like a dark night of the soul almost, where you really have a lot of inner demons to conquer. And some of this may simply be because it's kind of like closing the chapter on some area of your life. Maybe you are beginning to trust more in unseen forces. But, even when you start to get better, you can relapse and you can have a little bit of doubt. And the Ten of Swords can be a memory of how it felt when other people were not nice to you and they were deceptive and everything like that. The Sun card is everything positive. It indicates love, it indicates healing, prosperity, success, joy. So if you look at this particular artist's rendition of the Magician and the Sun card, you will see some common, that sunburst. What does that mean? Well, the reason I think the Magician had it is because it has to do with power. Yellow is the color of the third chakra, or gold. We associate gold with money and prosperity, and that's the third chakra, which has to do with money, your will, your power, all the things that you work towards because you believe you're deserving of it. So you may be getting back or building upon your sense of self. I think that's a big one of the Sun card, because you think about the astrology of it. The Sun represents our healthy ego, our sense of identity. And, in the 10th house, to have Jupiter there, that is your public identity. And the first house is your own identity. And so that can be very, there's a sense of empowerment here. Interestingly, I just happened to notice that the Two of Swords also contained a sun, or if this is some kind of an eclipse. So, you know, the idea of like which force is going to win out. Is it going to be the moon, or the kind of that habitual nature, and maybe some of those worries, those things that you just automatically go to, the negative self-talk and things like that? Or are you going the confident part, that part that believes, which is associated with the sun, the light, the sense of being an individual versus not knowing, feeling lost, but knowing who you are, what you came here to accomplish. Yeah, and that, so that fulfillment that the sun card can represent, even like, you know, professionally, but personally, you know. Okay, that's what I have for you, Pisces. If you would like a personal reading, please. You're probably wondering, why am I whispering? Well, I have my reasons. Please check out my website, rainandmoonastrology.com. This is ASMR-esque. Or click the link below for my online store. Take care. Bye.